morning. If you've been following our cancer journey, I just wanted to say hello and give you an update this morning. We're coming on a year. Early June marks 1 year of dealing with this, and I hadn't really thought about this until last night when my daughter was still up at 12:30 and just trying to distract herself. And when we got to the heart of what was going on for her, it was this mile marker. And most kids are looking forward to the school year ending. For her, the school year ending is just driving home that it's been a full year since her dad has had cancer, and that's hard for her. She's really in it right now, and I feel like for me it's been the same amount of time dealing with this. I think because I wear the hats of caregiver and occupational therapist, and I'm trying to attend to all of the practical things, that I just keep forging ahead. I think in her shoes, she's a deep feeler, and she's really feeling it. And last night she said, "Mom, I don't want to hear that, God won't give me more than I can handle." She's like, don't say that. I don't want to hear, that someday this will all make sense to me. I don't want to hear that eventually it will get easier. She's like, I just need to be right where I am right now. No wiser words could have been said. And so that's where we are on one level. Tim was put back in the hospital earlier this week because he had a really bad infection that, had it been left to go any longer, it could have developed into sepsis again. So fortunately, the cancer center sent him to the ER, and he was admitted for 3 days of treatment, 2 overnight stays at our nearby hospital hotel. I'm just trying to figure out what to do with our farm. We're gonna let it go fallow this summer. We just don't have the bandwidth to try to put anything into the ground. So we'll focus just on some upkeep of things. I'm trying to wrap my head around how to pull in the kind of support we need. I feel like, we're at that point where I think that people think we've got it all figured out because we've been doing this for a while, and after a while you kind of figure things out. Maybe that's a judgment that I hold on myself, that I feel like we should have it figured out, but we don't really have it figured out. We don't have it figured out what it looks like to live with a chronic, long-term diagnosis of cancer, where revisiting the hospital every now and then is a real thing. Dialysis 3 days a week is a real thing. Visits to the cancer center 1 day a week for treatment is a real thing. Loss of income is still a real thing. Girls who are feeling all the feels beneath the surface of trying to put on a happy face and go through the motions of all that they have going on is a real thing. And so, we're all trying to tap our internal resource to keep going. And I'm not saying this for a pity party by any means. I'm saying this because I just want to shed light on all of the aspects of what partnering with someone going through cancer is like, because 1 in 2 men will have a diagnosis of cancer at some point in their life. 1 in 3 women will have a diagnosis of cancer. And so we are surely not the first nor the last to go through this. And if anything I have to say about our experience is helpful, then it makes it all the easier and more meaningful for me to go through it and to share it. So some days I feel really strong and I feel fine and I feel sure. And when I went to Kansas City last weekend for the conference, I had a glimpse of what life outside of the cancer bubble was like. It was really nice. It was nice to have a break, but it made the contrast all that more clear for me that the world we are immersed in on a day in and day out basis is very different than that other world where cancer doesn't exist. And before Tim was diagnosed, I knew a lot about cancer, but cancer did not exist for me. That was something that other people suffered through and dealt with, and I pitied them and felt sorry for them and raised my hand to help when they were my patients. But going through it is a mighty different thing. And I've been doing a deep dive too into the roots of all of this and how depleted our soils are, how depleted the nutrients that we take in are, how much chemicals have just kind of in some ways dictated just made it a whole lot more likely that we or our children will have to suffer some pretty terrible things. But we're inflicting this kind of stuff on our environment too for our benefits. So at some point it comes back to bite us big time. And so that just makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that we're part of the great suffering. It makes sense to me that I'm part of the great suffering that our planet is going through. And the suffering's real. Very real. And I'm feeling in myself a need to just be honest and real about how it feels. And trying to muster up the courage to just reach out again to ask for help and support in all kinds of ways, because I kind of pride myself on being able to do things myself. I know Tim is very much the same way. If we didn't have a bit of that pride, I don't think we would ever have ventured into having a farm where we do in the way that we do. And we won't make it if we don't have support. And so we're kind of in the process of determining, what's next for us. Where do we go from here? Got some hard decisions to think about and think through, and but whichever direction we go, we're going to need some support in the meantime, because we can't get from where we are to wherever we need to go without that help. So stay tuned for more on that front. And this weekend I'm going to a farm school to learn about farming and finances and wrap my head around that more. I don't know what the outcome of that will be, but I do feel like I need to understand it better, and whatever direction we go with things. So hugely helpful. Cards dropped in the mail are hugely helpful. Sometimes at work, somebody will look at me and just say, how are you? Like, how are you? And it's hugely helpful. And there's some days where I answer it that I'm fine. Like, I'm actually good today. And I really mean that. And then there's other days where, no, I don't feel fine at all. And I can feel the same is true for my girls. I know the same is true for Tim. So your prayers are hugely helpful. Just sending positive vibes and energy our way really means so very much. And we're strong people. We'll get through this, but we won't get through it alone. So